must amboss oder hammer sein.
You must be anvil or hammer.
I see you know your better.
Can you see me as the anvil?
Precisely. I am going to hammer you. Yes, sir? Yes, sir, everything is under control. No, sir, no problems. Assistance? No, sir, I can manage. Yes, sir, of course. You see you.
You were saying something about a hammer?
Arms dealer, a former OSS member retired from CIA.
That's right.
He is called the Wizard of Whispering Death.
Right.
I've
heard that phrase.
Ingram M10 machine gun pistol.
Right.
And the first submachine gun silencer, which was featured in this
Day of the Condom.
Right.
He went in, he was an undercover operative operating in right-wing organizations, Nazi organizations, and he discovered a number of funny things, such as the fact that Henry Kissinger was involved in international terrorism, specifically in gun running out of Reading, Pennsylvania, Montreal. He cracked a gun running network.
Kissinger was doing that on his spare time while he was
as
doing
NSC director.
Mid-East diplomacy and travel diplomacy.
If we don't have cheaper energy and abundant energy, we're going to have a massive industrial decline, and the current depression which we're now entering a 1929-31 type of slide. Any intelligence service worth a damn gets 9/10 of its intelligence from public record services and then infers things by cross-grading. That's how intelligence work is done. Ask any military intelligence officer how they do it. Abundant energy, you can't have capital-intensive industrial production. And if you don't have capital-intensive industrial production, you have a collapse in the productivity of labor, which has been going on for the last couple of years, according to the numbers. And if you have a collapse, that the greatest thrill in the world is to stand behind the curtain and manipulate the masses from a distance.
They refuse to recognize that where marijuana is grown, food is not grown. They refuse to recognize that their opposition to nuclear energy means that billions of people will die because of their special private needs.
Now, Jesuits in the B'nai B'rith setting up the Ku Klux Klan or being involved in the Lincoln assassination, he did catch a number of Jesuit operatives in the Lincoln assassination, and he blew this, and he tied their connection back to the Habsburg court. He was painting portraits in the Habsburg court. He was able to collect a good deal of information, and he did publish a book on the subject. The paper business in Europe was mainly a political cover. The blitz of British cities, as opposed to targeting by the Luftwaffe of military targets, was something which the British got the Germans to do.
When you talk
by
about the
feeding
British, who are we really talking about? Adams,
and
Thomas Malthus, David Ricardo.
That this was an intentional tactic on the part of the British High Command, because the cities could take the damage. They didn't give a damn about it. We're talking about a group of families they want to avoid military targets for the last 300 years. They encouraged the Germans through misinformation and other things which they had allegedly because of code cracking. I think they also had some agents in place in Berlin, which they don't talk about. But that's a different issue. Gee, they encouraged this stuff. They were real human bastards. And the bombing of Dresden was the other thing from the other side. It was a totally vicious, dirty action. It was a hostile city. And the purpose of the thing was to tell the Soviet Union, look, we are such psychotic, murderous, crazy bastards, you better watch out for us, because we'll do anything.
Which was Richard Nixon's theory, the irrational would frighten them. Nixon would call it the madman theory of foreign policy.
Yeah, well,
so I guess he learned it from Winston Churchill.
From Kissinger, actually.
Is there still any form of blood sacrifice?
Oh, there is indeed. Sacrifice is their expression of the deepest sentiment and emotion. If the gods are angry, they must be appeased.
Bertrand Russell is an evil British intelligence executive. You say that he proposed the use of drugs as political subversion in the 1920s. So is Theodore Adorno, a social critic and musicologist who you claim is responsible for punk rock?
Adorno was responsible for the Princeton Radio Project in the 1940s. The basic point of which is that if you use music which is highly repetitive, such as rock music, and which has a cultural connection, or a sense of making the listener belong to a broad group of people who are all listening and gyrating to such repetitive music, for purposes of mass brainwashing and mass social control. Here's what Adorno said about it. Mind if I quote?
Sure,
In an imaginary but psychologically, emotionally laden domain, the listener who remembers a hit song will turn into the song's ideal subject, into the person for whom the song ideally speaks. At the same time, as one of many who identify with that fictitious subject, that musical I, he will feel his isolation ease as he himself feels integrated into the community of fans. In whistling such a song, he bows to a ritual of socialization and so on. He says the comparison with addiction, that is drug addiction, is inescapable. Addicted conduct generally has a social component, and so on. Addiction to music on the part of a number of entertainment listeners would be a similar phenomenon. By the time you got to the early 60s, when all of a sudden American youth, I was what, my early teens at the time, would be suddenly swamped with one wave or another of these perverse products out of England. You did have mass profiling of listeners, which I consider to be a form of mass brainwashing, available because of Adorno's work in the Princeton Radio Project. I don't give a damn what he liked. The guy's
So
guilty.
the Beatles, in other words, the Beatles were somehow part of the mass brainwash conspiracy, I guess.
Yes, absolutely.